and or if you want to put vitality just so it hits somebody's affix search. The only thing this has going for it is its perfect arcane power on crit. That's definitely not enough to pull it out of the trash bin. Strong vitality, no damage, no natural crit, no dexterity, no attack speed. I only found one legendary over this last day, which seems paltry compared to the last couple times where I've gotten 3 to 4 per ID session. So I guess the luck ran out. Just really low numbers. Alright, moving on. A little better here. So strong life modifier for a ring. I believe it caps at 11%. So we've got some armor, some life, some intelligence, and your choice for the socket. But there is enough here where we could search for armor, life, and intelligence, or maybe strength, life, and armor, since that appeals a little bit stronger. It's a little more streamlined choices for a barbarian as opposed to armor for a wizard. But we'll look at both options. We won't gem it until we've searched for both, because the gem will put the strength into triple digits or put the intellect, so we can search above like 130, 135. Perfect attack speed on the ring, decent little bit of crit chance, and dexterity and vitality, smidge, and a single resist. It's only giving you 4.5 weapon DPS, so you kind of rule that off as irrelevant, and the gold find is fairly irrelevant too. But they're nice little bonuses. A lot going on in this ring. The numbers are deceptively good, despite a lot of numbers being really low. The minimum modifier, the dex, and the vitality, they seem low, but the crit's really nice for a ring. Anything above 3 is good on a ring, and then you've got max attack speed, which depends on the rest of what your spreadsheet looks like. 9% is enormous. For me, let's see real quick. I believe 9% is like almost getting on pretty close to like 200 intellect. Would be the equivalent. 1 second. Yeah, 180 intellect would be the equivalent for me there. So. Life, physical resist, more life, and armor. So, really stacking on the defenses here. Strength and a little bit of life. Wow, that's a lot of affixes for a weapon when not a single one of them is a minimum or maximum or damage percent or elemental damage affix. Like, that's kind of rare to see that. Which means this one had a pretty strong base damage of like 524. So if this was able to roll a 50% damage modifier, you're already up in close to 770. And then if you got some elemental damage, putting 300 to 400 on there, the numbers start looking really well. Trade that in for the shitty bleed and the intellect, and then you've got a strength and natural crit damage and life steal plus some strong numbers. And then you look at something like this, it was just way too low. Chance to block is negligible. A lot of decks, strong crit chance, but it stops there. So that's way too little. You can easily afford a strong a third affix there. It won't break your bank. Will this work for a magic find? No, it won't. Chance to block just way too low. If you're sacrificing a little bit of stats to run a magic find set, you're already sacrificing a little bit of ease of play, making your life a little bit more difficult. And so a shield is not a gear slot where you have to sacrifice numbers. You can still pick up a very strong shield. You don't have to sacrifice that block chance. Decent life on hit. Numbers are just too low. Dex, Vitality, strong magic find. But there's no real resists here. There's no sockets, so that 120, 120 is a little deceptive. It's not as very high when you consider that that's where they're capped. If that was magic find instead of gold find, this would have a shot. Strong natural crit, but no socket. If this had a socket, you just might be able to squeak out a sale here. Again, this is one where it had a minimum and a maximum plus a really high damage modifier, since that percent caps at 50 for that third affix. So that one came close. Very strong life on hit. Starts off strong and then it just dwindles from there. Same here. The primary stat's just way too low. No real chance to block. Some wasted affixes here in the basically half of a potential gold find roll, and there's no pickup radius to pair with it, and then you've got a wasted durability, a wasted low strength. Very low numbers on all of these affixes except for life regen. These are decent numbers with the Dex, Vitality, and Resist All, except for the fact that they're gloves, and so you're missing at least 2 strong affixes. No life component here, but the strength and the armor and the low crit roll make it an almost. Wow, what a horrible chest. Strong life modifier, strong armor, but that's where it ends. Meant to keep some of these together since they're the same, so I wanted to ID them all just for a little comparison's sake. Since you're starting with the same potential with each of these. Alright, is that everything? Yeah. Perfect resist all, there's no life component, and a very subpar resist, and no movement speed, so unfortunate. Not quite as unfortunate as this Hellion though. Oh, that was a one-hander, not a Hellion. This was the Hellion. With really ridiculous strong rolls in strength and intelligence, which completely defeat the purpose for a crossbow. Okay, 3 top level Witch Doctor knives in a row here. 1 strike. This is a little better. Attack speed, crit damage, life steal. I'll look this up. It's 3 very strong combinations for affixes. And the numbers are just barely in the acceptable range. But socket would have been stronger. Strike 2. So maybe we got to walk on the base there with those 3 knives. Horrible block chance. Intellect plus wall of zombies. No thanks. 930 with nothing else to speak of. Even worse. Okay, here's a lot to digest. So we've got your choice of primary stats, a little bit of life. Essentially, you can delete the resist all line there, and same thing goes with the gold. It's not high enough to be sold purely on the gold factor. You're going to need 24-25% if somebody wants to buy a gold piece without pickup attached. Like maybe this. I'll take a look, but I think you can get blue pieces fairly cheap if that's the only thing it really has going for it. Okay, finally, moderate number. Got a little bit of attack speed and a little bit of vitality, so we'll look this up. Unfortunately, there's no sort of crit damage component at all. Intellect, vitality, physical, and magic find. Physical resist is not really a strong affix. It's great, it's just on gloves. That would be much more valuable as crit damage, crit chance, attack speed, resist all, pretty much anything. So I might take a look at it, but I expect nothing out of it. Whole lot more than out of that one though. Imagine that. Brimstone.